Hi, and welcome to On the Racing Line. This is Fan Frenzy. That's right, Fan Frenzy is where the fans bring us the questions that they want to be talking about Formula One to us fans of Formula One as well. We are looking at doing a live fan session.
Yeah, exciting. If you
Good responses.
Yes, great responses. If you're keen to jump online with us via video link, Zoom, WebEx, whatever. And yeah, across the race weekend, we've got to look for a time to do it.
Yeah, finding the time is an interesting one. We're tossing up whether it's during the race weekend, around like a session, so we could nearly do it after a session of some sort.
Yep.
Which limits it a little bit because those sessions are quite late where we are, but we might be able to tack one on to the end of F1,
Yes.
a free practice one or something like that. That's a little bit easier. Otherwise, we could do it in our normal recording time, which is a Tuesday night, our time, which generally works out UK. It's about an 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning of Tuesday in the UK. Don't know where that puts the US. I need to look into that one, but yeah, so we're working through some logistics around there. We didn't bring out a Fan Frenzy last week, and that was due to a technical issue with our podcast providers. So we're going to have to re-record some of those questions. We did do a recording, but yeah, it didn't go live because of a technical issue with our podcast provider, which we brought up with them. So we'll do a few of the questions, I think, from last week because there was some beauties.
Sounds good.
Shane from the Monaco weekend, his question was, have people noticed that Oscar Piastri gets bugger all coverage during races? There are no replays of him getting his place back on lap 1, which was magnificent at Monaco, if you bring your mind back, Tristan. Mm-hmm. That regaining of a position coming up to the casino at Monaco was unbelievable. They rarely say his name, or on the graphics, or in qualifying. You can't really see much of him. He doesn't know if it annoys anyone else, but man, it annoys him, which is a great call.
I think so too.
It does annoy me, but I don't mind Oscar Piastri flying under the radar in absolutely every way.
Absolutely.
For this season.
Yep, I think so too.
There is something about Oscar, though, that makes him fly under the radar in general. He is, I hate to say it, plain Jane. Like
Really?
We've spent so much time loving the way that Ricciardo goes about his business. He is the absolute personality on the grid. He brings atmosphere to the place. His personality sort of rubs off on everyone who's interviewing him or the drivers around him. They all want to have a bit of a play around. And I think we've really come to get to love that part. And this isn't a knock on Oscar, but Oscar is just all business. And we talked about this early in the season around the Melbourne Grand Prix, that we notice he's very Mark Webber in the way that he goes about it. And the plain Jane sort of setup of him at the moment is just going to play in his hands beautifully. He's the best performing rookie this season by some way, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's points-wise as well, but he's just getting on with the job quietly. And that's everything he needs this season. He doesn't need to be the class clown. He doesn't need to be going and doing anything crazy. And so there's a part of me, yes, it's annoying because I want to watch what he's doing. However, there's a part of me just thinks this is perfect for Oscar any season. So, yeah, I don't mind it too much, Shane. But, yes, I understand where you are coming from. It's it's an interesting one.
Yep.
Hit me up with another question from
I'm going to go
last weekend.
Yeah, last weekend. I'll go with Jordan Pankratz.
Yep.
So race ranking a solid 8. 3 to Ocon, did all he possibly could with that car. 2 to Max, solid race and an epic quali. Correct. That last section was elite. And 1 to Piastri, points in Monaco as a rookie with the rain in a questionable car. I like that. And just simply from Jordan, dud of the day is Checo. He's got to be better than that.
No question.
No question. But just sort of nice little tidy wrap up. As a fan, I like that, Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, hit me with a question for next week, please, Jordan.
Dean
Just
Holt.
something in particular.
Dean Holt. I wasn't going to go through all the other bits and pieces because we're a week late on it.
That's fair enough.
So Dean's question, though, is how would you make Monaco more interesting? Because I will go through a race ranking here. Qualifying, he had 10 out of 10. Race ranking, 4 out of 10.
Correct.
Geez, that was harsh, Dean. Well, I think we talked about that last week, you and I. But question, though, how would you make Monaco more interesting? So he didn't enjoy it. Personally, he'd like to see them try a Race of Champions style knockout on the Sunday instead of the race. For me, no, I'm not that interested in that one iota. That's not racing, and I loved it. I thought it was a great race. What it would do, and what we saw was tactics have to come into play, and that really made that race really interesting. So I would have, we've just seen the Spanish weekend where some of the teams stopped 3 times for tyres. I would have a specialised tyre, and it wouldn't just be for this track, but it'd be for tracks like this track, where they're going to go off super quick and you have to stop multiple times, and seeing how you stop and which tyres you're going for creates part of that atmosphere. I want to see the cars sliding around in Monaco. I don't want to see them in control, and so that's where I'd be going.
Yeah.
With a really skittish tyre that's going to go off real quick, and I want to see a couple of them. I want to see a set of 3 tyres that you take to Monaco.
Yep.
That you take to a couple of other places around the world, and it's also going to open up options for where else we can take Formula One. So that's what I'd be doing. What would you do to change Monaco?
Well,
or make some improvements in Monaco?
I think we were talking about this last weekend as well. I don't know that there's really anything that I could do to make it more interesting. It's so unique in its own special way that if you went and did anything, it would almost feel artificial and gimmicky. So I think for me that's you have to live with Monaco for what it is, because it is so unique and different to any other race weekend. And we kind of, as F1 fans, we accept that, don't we?
Yep.
We know that it's going to be a train, and we're okay with that because of where we are.
Well, some of us are.
Some of us are, some of us not. But, you go to Spa, you don't want to see a train at Spa. That's not okay. No. But anyway, I think that's just sort of it. It is unique in its own special way, and we're okay with that.
Yep. Do you want to hit me up with one more question from last week?
One more question from last week. I'll go with Paul. Paul Cooks from last week. So Paul's question is quite long, actually. Paul's question was, I was listening to our podcast on villains and could relate to not being too keen on Max, despite his obvious brilliance as a driver.
Yep.
Which is good. So if you haven't heard that, we did a little bit of villains of F1. We should do one on heroes. We did villains.
I like it.
Heroes. His decision to not give Perez a place last year at Sao Paulo made him look like a really bad sport. But Paul's cheated on us and listened to another F1 podcast.
I'm okay with that because we do the same.
Yes, and I actually did have a little bit of a listen to this one too.
Yep.
Wasn't a massive fan of it.
Oh,
wasn't
a massive ripping. No, we're supporters of everybody on podcast land.
I just think that wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. And they claim the grievance went back to Monaco, which, yes, we know, where Sergio took pole and won, but deliberately crashed, which we've seen that in his combine, Rosberg, we've seen it in Schumacher, etc. So now that he's heard this, he can understand why Max didn't want to be a team player. And I guess his main question is, have we been too tough on Max?
No, absolutely not.
No, I don't think so either.
Max has been a ruthless driver since he's come into the sport. And he's only calmed down since he's won the World Championships, which we talked about in the main body of the episode. But it's also like, it's not being too harsh on Max.
Yep.
If anything, sometimes it's an absolute singing his praises. I mean, Michael Schumacher was the same.
Yeah.
And people singing his praises. Max will be the same. People singing his praises.
Yep.
Lewis has been the same. Seb's been the same. It's not being harsh on him. It's just telling it how it is. These guys are ruthless.
Yep.
And so they should be.
I think so too. So I guess the podcast he was listening to, it's called F1 by DRS. So it's spelled EFFWON. And it's by Dax Shepard, who is American. So, yeah, I had a bit of a listen.
Look, it wasn't my thing either, but that's fine. We're not.
That's fine.
We're not people's thing as well.
No.
No. But yeah, it's it's fine. I tell you, I'm going to give another one though. Another ripping to a podcast.
Yes.
Not Beyond the Grid. What's the other one they do that's hosted by Tom Clarkson? That's after the race weekend. It's F1 It's Formula One.
Yeah.
What is it? The official one?
Beyond the Grid.
Beyond the Grid?
Beyond the Grid.
Is that what it's called?
Yep, because similar to our name.
Yes.
Yeah, but we got him first.
It used to be quite good because they would record a few days later. F1 Nation is what I'm talking about.
Right, F1 Nation.
No, I like Beyond the Grid.
Sorry, love Beyond the Grid.
No, yeah, love Beyond the Grid. F1 Nation, sorry. So they used to record a couple of days later. And you get reflections post-race weekend.
Yeah, okay.
They've gone to recording after the race on site, and nothing is updated. So you've already got all that information from on site.
Yep. And
I just feel like they've lost what they used to be.
Yeah, okay.
With reflections from Damon Hill and Natalie and Tom, and I'm not digging it the same way that I used to. When I'd like to hear what Damon would have to say in reflection of the weekend, not still there. So being able to take in all the interviews and all those bits and pieces, and then do that. So it's lost its sort of shine, that one.
How do you feel about the announcement that we will have a kids F1 show?
Oh, I'm very excited about
Very
it.
excited. Even though, for those that might not know, you floated that idea
With Will Buxton.
with Will Buxton,
Or-
what, 2 years ago?
No, it was our first time, I think.
It was the very first one.
wasn't it?
Anyway, so it looks like to be, You could be getting royalties for that.
Sounds like it's a good format. I like the
Sounds
idea
good.
of the
I think it's a
format.
great
I think
idea.
they're doing a fantastic job there. I'm more than happy to jump on board and support them with that one. So no, it annoys me greatly that we're both teachers that our students don't really follow Formula One the way they should.
It's very true.
It annoys me greatly. So whatever they can do to bring kids into Formula One, I am down with. I've got 2 young kids. Sophia will watch a little bit with me. Marlo will watch a little bit with me, but they get a little bit sick of it, so I'm looking forward to having something they can watch.
Hate to watch it and make the noise.
Yeah, which must be annoying.
No, I taught him how to do that. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like you'd be sitting in the cupboard if you was at my house.
Sitting in the cupboard.
Yeah, we can ask real questions. We don't want noises, thank you. Shane from this weekend.
Okay,
Shane from this weekend.
Yep.
Dad can't decide between Bottas and Lando. Lando's a bit harsh.
Yeah, lost his front wing.
What a qualifying. Like, we didn't actually talk his qualifying enough in the main body of the podcast.
Yeah,
Qualified in 3rd. Incredible. And then just had that first lap incident. I think that's
Jeepers.
really harsh. 3 points to Zhou. I think that mimics you. 2 to Russell, which mimics me. 1 to Hamilton. I don't mind that.
Yep.
Question. Is this Red Bull the greatest car ever built?
Oh. No.
Maybe.
No.
Could it be a maybe and not a nut yet?
No.
Why?
Because if you look at the Mercs,
What?
they were W08, I want to say. I don't know if that's right. Well, they were 2 seconds a lap quicker than anyone. Just in a whole nother realm.
Such a hard question. We need to unpack this over the summer.
True, and both of them were out of this world.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at this...
That wasn't what he's asking.
No, but that's what I'm
Greatest-
saying. Back to
yeah.
the question. It's not the greatest ever, because Max
Only
in it
Max
is
can
the
drive
greatest
it.
in it, but Perry's in it isn't the greatest ever, where if you look at... I'm pretty sure it's a W8. I could have that wrong. People will be correcting me while they listen. But that was 2 seconds a lap quicker in both Nico's and both Lewis's hands.
I don't think they were 2 seconds a lap quicker.
They were ridiculous. It was ridiculous speed.
It's very close to being the best car ever. It could be.
FW14B.
Could be. Oh no, over to you.
Ferrari 2000.
Next question.
Lots of other Brawn. RB26. Not RB26. The Renault. Renault. 06 Renault. Lots of...
We'll have to unpack that. It's a good question. We'll have to unpack that later in the season, I reckon.
Lots and lots.
There's lots of water to go on the bridge. Like, this car could stop at some stage with its development.
Yep.
We have to bloody hope so. But it could stop in its development at some stage, and
It will.
it might get overtaken at
It
some
will
stage.
eventually. Simon Lang, race ranking 6. Okay race, but that's about it.
Not bad.
Rough. 3 to Lewis, 2 to Stroll, first time out qualifying Alonso, and 1 to Lando. Unlucky on first sight with a racing incident. Yes, correct, Simon.
I worry about people.
Done of the day, FIA for giving Steiner a reprimand for his comments after Monaco. We do need professional full-time stewards. This is just you all over.
Yeah.
And his comments weren't unkind or severe from what I've read. Correct.
Oh, I like it. He did get into him a little bit, but I like that. Well, obviously I do, because it's the same as my dad.
That's exactly right. Of course you do. A question. The BBC F1 podcast raised an interesting question regarding budget caps and development. Mark Priestley mentioned 2 ideas. An extra $50 million budget that struggling teams could unlock every 2 years or so to help close the gap. Or a more extreme one of removing technical regulations within the cost cap and letting teams develop as they please under the cost caps. What are our thoughts on these?
Yeah, it's interesting.
You would need to have an understanding of where $50 million would get you to begin with, if you can answer that question.
It's tunnel time.
Yeah.
It's going to be tunnel time, and it's going to be engineers as well. And when we say, the top teams now understand that they don't develop anything unless they're sure fairly sure it's going to be a winner.
Yeah.
Whereas what teams used to do is they used to throw all sorts of things into tunnels to see, just have a look. Oh, well, and it wouldn't be necessarily be that part that was going to be the part that was going to make their car better. It's going to be the part that came from that part. And so they're not able to do those sorts of things as much anymore. They're very reliant on being fairly sure. They're taking safe routes. I don't know that $50 million is going to get you teams moving away from safe routes.
Yep.
It's not going to make what they're choosing any better.
Yep.
And it's not, yeah. So it is a really tricky one. But I like where he's coming from, and it is. I think the staggeredness of teams, if they win, down to teams if they don't win. I think there needs to be a bigger gap.
Yep.
I think they need to restrict the winners.
Yep.
By more, and I think it nearly needs to be a percentage thing. If you're winning by a certain amount of points on top of other cars, you get penalised even more next time. And you don't like penalising winning teams, but we do need to get this under control pretty quick. So the model's right. I think they can just make the gaps between the teams a little bit more severe.
I like the idea of having your technical regs. And just having the freedom to do that. The downside to that is, so let's look at the double diffuser year. Let's say Alpha do something really amazing under the technical guidance and regulations that they're sort of not having put with them. You then have high quality teams like Red Bull and Mercedes who the following year just go, that worked, and then they've got to put it on, then they get better. So
and
I'm not sure. It's a great idea, but how do you police that?
You'd get too much of one team blowing everyone out of the water.
Yep. And
then everyone following, and so but not following in time for that season with these new cost caps involved. So no, I think if anything, it would ruin the closeness of racing.
Okay. Yep.
It would be really interesting, but it would just, I think the closeness of our racing would be ruined even worse.
All right, so if I run through this, I'm just going to give you a quick team name for where they are now, and I want you to tell me at the end of the season if you can give them one of those things, which one are you going to give them? All right. So Alpine are 5th. Are you giving them nothing, extra 50, or technical regulation freedom? What would you give them? They're in 5th at the moment.
What? Sorry, I'm
a
bit lost here.
So those two regulations there, those two ideas that Simon sort of.
I wouldn't be going with either of them.
Would you give them? So you give Alpine nothing?
No, I wouldn't give anyone.
You wouldn't give anyone anything.
Of none of those things.
Really? No, I don't mind either of those two.
So I'd be penalised. I'd be making Red Bull's development time less next season.
I'd be looking at the bottom. I'd be looking at something like the bottom 3. For example, so Williams, Alpha Tauri, and Alfa Romeo, I would give them that unrestricted technical regulation.
So they're also going to have cars that aren't part of the technical regulation?
No, but this is what I'm saying. That would be their... For finishing bottom 3, that's what you would get.
And so if they got into the next 6, they'd have to go back into the technical regulations?
Yes, and then if you go 5th, 6th, and 7th, I would be saying you can have an extra 50 million, so you get more money. And then the top 4 would actually not give anything.
So let's say Williams then makes a jump. They get into the top 3 teams.
Yep. So then they just get nothing for that season.
But then can they keep the car that they've been developing?
They can keep the car that they're developing.
But it's still not part of the technical regulations.
But that's okay because those behind them... Do you see what I'm doing there? It's a loop through.
Yeah, no.
So you make the top 4, you get nothing. That's your car.
Yeah.
And then... Because you're going to stay top 4 for a while.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You're going to stay there. So you get no extra money, you get no extra development. The next 3 below you, so 5th,
you
6th,
can't have
and
cars
7th,
running different kinds of technical regs.
But I think that's good.
You can't have some cars having technical regs and the others
It opens up that technical freedom that we kind of don't have at the moment. We're still allowing engineers to be innovative and have different ideas. Well, right now, you're not getting that. Everyone's just gone Red Bull's as fast as we'll all just make a Red Bull. So I would give the top 3, top 4, absolutely nothing. You get no extra money. You get no additional restrictions. It's just, you're awesome. You just get to be awesome for a little bit longer. Then I'd go...
for this year, you'd be so grumpy if you're Alpine.
Yes. No, because you go 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Because Alpine performed better than all those other teams, but they copped the biggest penalty of anyone.
Well, I think that's just how it goes. 5th, 6th, and 7th will give you a bit more money. So you can do a little bit more. You'll still get your wind tunnel time, but you just get a bit more money to do some more stuff.
To do more wind tunnels.
So then you're allowed the possibility to jump in top 4. And then you go 8th, 9th, 10th. Well, you guys are horrendous at the moment. So you actually get a little bit of freedom with your technical regulation. You get to build something that no one else has got in the likelihood that you can suddenly jump up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I do it.
It's horrendous.
That's
Yeah,
You'd fluctuate the grid like crazy.
You'd nearly be in the realms of being Le Mans style racing, which is horrendous. No one watches it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but no one else does. Like honestly, like it's just you can't have different categories on the same track.
Maybe that's the way.
That's my biggest problem with Le Mans.
Yeah, okay.
I can't stand the fact that there's different categories of cars on the same track in the same race.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I just wonder, is that the way that you get it? You get the fluctuation of the grid quicker.
The one thing I love about that is allowing teams to get really innovative.
Yep.
I worry that we're not quite at that point anymore, but we can't be because the likes of Adrian Newey will smash everyone out of the water. Yeah, no, I think draw those restrictions in even further.
Okay.
Like really narrow in the restrictions.
Just penalise the top.
No, not
yeah, but like restrict.
Yeah,
sorry,
like
restrict.
try and guide everyone in the same direction. As much, even more interesting idea though, and it's an interesting thought. It's a provoking thought, but no, it's certainly not what I'd be doing. Dane Holt, race ranking 7 out of 10, easy win for Max, but excellent midfield battle with lots of tyre strategies, which I loved. I really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
It didn't come out as much as I thought, though.
No.
I mentioned it with Piastri. Why didn't anyone try one stop? Those tyres, it stuns me that back of the grid teams don't try these things more often.
Maybe
it might have been so far gone, I don't know. Russell, 3 points for coming in from 12th into beating a Red Bull.
Yep.
Okay, I like that. Yuki, very unlucky to get his penalty, to drop him out of the points.
Yep.
And Zhou for picking up points when his more experienced teammate was near the back. The other day, Perez again, because he's got quite a big car advantage over everybody else and only gets to 4th. Unless Verstappen gets a few DNFs, he's got no chance of winning the championship. He's got no chance of winning the championship, full stop. Question. After all the different strategies we got in Spain, I personally think they should have to all use 3 tyre compounds in a race. What do you guys think? Ooh. Maybe that's what you go with Monaco.
Maybe
it needs to be trialled at a couple of places. Because that makes it interesting.
Yeah,
that makes Monaco a little bit more interesting, because maybe the hard's too hard for the joint, and you're not getting any performance out of it.
That's fair.
I don't mind that for a Monaco sort of style race. Not bad. I like it, Dean. Very good. All right, well, this has been Fan Frenzy. Keep your eyes peeled for when we go live with Fan Frenzy. We'll be working that out, making it absolutely everyone aware of it, and then we'll be getting into it. But until then, goodbye.